Alright, so I'm getting started on Steve's Metro. It's a 97 model, 1 liter 5-speed. He just bought it. It smokes like a train. It's got no power. Loads up and stalls, and the motor's brand new, of course. If you watched any of my previous videos, you'll notice how I always tell the same story on these because they're always hacked. It's supposed to have a brand new timing belt and water pump on it and a valve job, and we'll have to see about it because right off the water pump is not new. That is corroded like it's a old water pump. Okay, time to run a compression check. I got the coil wire pulled off the distributor. We're in the number 1 cylinder. I got number 2 and number 3 plugs out. Number 3 plug is fouling. It's the worst, I think. Number 2 is right behind it. Number 1's fouling, but it's the cleanest. And I'll crank it up. Alright. Here we go. Alright, let's take a peek. We've got $1.50. Alright, and I'm guessing that that's going to be the highest compression, so this motor is going to be dead. Now we'll bump through and do the rest of them. In fact, I'll just leave the camera going, we'll do one shot. I'm just lowering the car down a smidge so it's easier to slide in and out of it. Oh, why does that sound like there's no compression? Yep, dead. 120. I'm sure you can see that, but 120 doesn't do anything in a Metro. This is not your father's Oldsmobile. There we go. Okay. 125, 130. 130 pounds. Okay, and this is why I don't let anybody that calls me or emails me that wants their car worked on. This is why you don't get to pick what you need to have your car run right again. That's why I only do engine rebuilds. And I don't put heads on cars. I'll do head work for you and give it to you and you can do it. But you're not fixing the whole thing. There's no bolts holding the crankshaft pulley on. Well, there's one. So, I don't know. What a shitty situation. Oh, the bolts are missing off over there. Yeah, this car just needs to be restored. This is ridiculous. Alright, just a little, I don't know, footnote here. The timing cover is held on by the bolt. It's supposed to be in the crankshaft pulley. And yes, that is a big deal driving around without the crankshaft pulley on. It's damaged the dowel pin, and I have to do a little cleanup. Alright, looks like the motor, obviously you can see it's not clean or anything, but the front crankshaft pulley is leaking oil, so the timing belt's covered in oil. So we're going to have to ditch that timing belt. In my opinion, I don't know if it's new or not, but it's hard to tell after they get oiled. But that is not a new water pump. This is kind of interesting. I mean, this thing's a big oil abuser and smoker, but I mean that's a common thing on the Geos. But when they get stuck rings and whatnot, but this motor, these pistons actually have oil sitting on top of them. Okay, Steve, right off, the head just came off, and you said that this thing had new valves in it, but it looks to me like it's got 2 factory valves in it, and the center valve has been changed here. It's something that says made in, I don't know, made somewhere. I've never seen it. Some cheap aftermarket piece of crap. And it looks like the valve is not centered in the seat. Maybe the valve guide's broke inside that head right there. It's got the most oil in it. If you look, that valve doesn't look centered. Huh, that one too. Maybe somebody didn't have the right tools because valves in Geo are so small. And they tried to grind it with too big of a stone and ground the hole out of center. I don't know. But it's not what you were talking about. It's just a hack job. Then the head gasket and the block was never cleaned. So look at that, no adhesion at all with the head gasket. Not at all. You were super poor. You could probably clean this off with carb cleaner and just use it again. There's nothing was wiped down clean. It didn't even try to glue. And it's just a cheapo Felpro. And they work good if you clean them. I don't use them, but Felpro's never had a problem. Oh, the head has been cut. And it just scarred to shit. Can you see the tiger stripes on that? Jesus. Well, you're going to get lucky on that because the new head I have for it is, I don't know if you can see the difference, but that one's like a mirror. But I'll just save this for the next person that's doing a having the head cut for have the CC chamber reset, because then we'll just cut past this shitty. God, it's like they used an exhaust manifold surfacer. It's been an old machine shop with a belt sander. In fact, that's what it was a belt sander, it looks like. Yeah, because you can see the lines are, they're stripes and they should be swirls, because when it's done properly, the head's mounted upside down and they use a fly cutter to cut the head so it's perfect and it turns into a mirror like that head. And this is just sanded down with an old belt sander. Something you do, well, something they used to do a couple of decades ago. Alright, well, won't worry about that. And then I have no doubt we're going to see problems with the rings too. Turn my flashlight off here. Alright, for those of you that watch my videos or are into the Geos and stuff, and I always talk about prepping metal for gaskets like it's for getting painted, you know, it's got to be clean, clean, clean. This block was cleaned off, if you look really close, with like a scraper, a screwdriver maybe. And I mean, it's just not clean, and that's why the head gasket didn't stick. I mean, let me grab it again. I know I just shot it in the last video you're looking at. The well, it goes the other way. Oops, I'm sorry. The head gasket on in the right direction. If you're using Felpro too, the blue stripes always go to the top. That's what tells you where it goes. No adhesion at all. I mean, that head gasket looks like it just came out of the box. Yeah, and just crummy work. Look how plugged the EGR port is. It doesn't even. It looks like it's just solid metal across there. That's supposed to be a 12mm hole that passes into the manifold right there. We'll get that all cleaned out and clean the port and the intake on it. Alright, I'm just pulling the intake off. The gaskets are just old reused ones. I don't know, it's got some kind of a, it's not silicone. It almost looks like a Loctite. But it's been put on the gasket. But whatever it is didn't work because it's still completely wet. That's too bad, but they just bought a head gasket, not all the gaskets. Dun, dun, dun. Alright, well, not that big of a deal. We're throwing them away anyhow. Alright, the engine's out. Looks like everything leaks on it. You can see the rear main seal was leaking in the tranny. There's full of oil in there. Throwout bearing's bad. I'll get the clutch assembly off here in just a sec, but it looks like it's wore out too. I'm sure it's all original. So you can see this is not new anything on here. Now the worse they are, the nicer it is when you get them back. Alright, this is the front seal out of the motor. Let's see if I can get you a good shot of it. The damaged part down there is just the tool I used to take it out, but the seal, if you look, it actually seals from the backside. I can't even squeeze it. I'm squeezing as hard as I can. Right there. Oh, see that? The rock hard. That's why we pull these seals out and throw them away. This car's got 120,000 miles on it or something, I think the odometer says. So you can see how, you know, going through and doing engine overhauls in that 150,000 mile range, depending on how many years it takes to put the car together. That's why I base everything on 10 years. After 10 years, just take the motor out and just go through and redo it. And that's just preventative maintenance and stuff. And you could go farther and wait for leaks and stuff, but you know, I guess it just depends on everybody's individual deal. But I run about 10 years, no matter how many miles are on them, and at least put some seals in them if you want them to be perfect. And we'll pull a crank seal out now. Well, thank goodness we put a clutch in it, because there's no clutch left in it. It's completely wore out. Steve that owns the car, I think he was thinking it was in a little better shape. Yeah, no, the disc is completely wore out. This was good money spent, Steve. All original too. Get some new bearings in everywhere. This flywheel cleaned up. I think I already showed earlier the throwout bearing was bad. This will be, if you liked it before, you're really going to like it when it's done now. Yeah, I'll bet you didn't have a couple oil changes left on that clutch disc. In fact, if you give it to a high school kid, they probably could get through the weekend. Still got a new rear main seal in there. And you can see, I can kind of squeeze it, but it's too stiff. And you know, that's what was leaking. See the oil on the back side of the flywheel here. Just a little FYI for those of you at home tinkering with your car. Alright, this first piston out, it's the number 3 piston. You can see the lower ring is stuck. Oh, it's all gummed up. See how hard I have to move to get it to free up. And then all 3 of them are stuck together anyhow. Alright, got this piston all cleaned up. And it's oiled now. There's oil on it. We're ready to get some rings for it. And then, I don't know if you watch my videos, blah 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 blah. I always use the factory rings. I just happen to keep. And they're just a Just a standard G10 NPR rings. That's what you want. And I carry factory everything. Wheel bearings. I shouldn't. Alright, just so we're clear, so everybody understands, that's how your ring should, your oil ring should move. And the other one, we couldn't even move it. Alright, I just got done honing the cylinders, just wiping some of the oil and stuff out of them. Oh, they look beautiful. No, they look frickin' perfect. That's what it takes to make a new set of rings work. Okay, when I'm doing the videos and I can remember, usually I stuff these clutches in and slam them in the car really quick. But I want to show on how I file the edge. Now this is the now when you look at a clutch disc, the flat side is going to go to the flywheel, and then the dish side goes inside the pressure plate. Well, what we want to do is you can take your file. I just use a 3-angled file, and then we're just going to get right on the teeth there on each one. I haven't done anything to this one, so you can see what it looks like. And then I'm just going on about a 45, and it's not much. I'm just, hold on, I'll show you what it looks like when I'm just a few strokes. And you, let's see, the camera to readjust. But all we're doing is just knocking the edge down a smidge. Just like that. Just not down the splines, just on an angle. We're just cutting just the front of them. Then I go all the way around, and all I'm doing is just open it up a smidge. This will save you all kinds of time installing a clutch in a Metro. And so you can see how it's opened up a smidge. I think the average person would be surprised at how much porting, when you're cleaning these intake runners up, how much material you're moving. The beautiful part and the efficiency in a Geo comes from it being a cross flow head, meaning the intake and exhaust are on opposite sides, so the gas doesn't have to change direction and come back in the chamber. But getting it all cleaned up, there's a lot of, I've been working on it for probably well, probably an hour now. I probably have at least another hour and a half. It takes a long time to do one, but it's definitely worth it. Doing the head work, doing the signature cuts on the head, and a camshaft is just the cat's meow. It controls the pinging, gives you some better power, a little better fuel economy. It's the best money you can spend on a Metro for dollar for dollar for Alright, the camshaft just arrived. So I'm going to stuff that in. Make sure you're using some extreme pressure lubricant if you're doing this yourself. I don't like to use oil. You can buy engine pre-lube that has extreme pressure lubricant in it. I find that the cheap way to buy it is if you buy a CV joint grease. Notice it says EP at the top, extreme pressure moly. It's engine pre-lube, same stuff, just repackaged with a different name on it. But you definitely want it to have EP in it, or you want to, well, you just want to put EP in it. As I say, you can use Prolong too. Alright, time to throw this new camshaft. Alright, I'm just putting the rest of the head back together here. I just finished doing the machine work on the head and the porting, but I just wanted to point out that it's a magnet, obviously. Take it. Oh, get that unstuck. But you need to be using stainless exhaust valves. Very important. And the way to test them, because they all look the same, is hit them with a magnet. Something fairly important on a Metro is always replace the PVC valve. It's mounted in the intake on the number 2 cylinder runner. It's got an O-ring on the bottom of it. And I just dropped the brand new one. Make sure that the O-ring goes down. It's got a metal plate that goes over the top and 2 Phillips screws. You'll find the Phillips screws probably won't break loose. I always take a chisel blade and I just give the screws a little tap, Alright, one thing that I do when I'm putting oil in it is we're using synthetic oil. It's usually 520 or 530. And then I use a Prolong engine treatment. You can buy it at AutoZone or wherever. It's about 20 bucks a bottle. I buy it by the gallon because you get a little better discount. And if it did have hydraulic lifters on it, you could actually drain the oil out of it and keep running the motor. It's pretty phenomenal stuff. I don't recommend you drive without any oil, but if you choose to, you can buy a booster bottle every time you change the oil and dump some in. They sell a little bit smaller bottle, like AutoZone is, I think, the only place for it. Maybe Walmart sells it. If you choose to, if not, just at least use some good synthetic oil. And I'm all about lubricants. I know that's what it takes to keep a motor together forever. But in case you've never used it or whatnot, the best price by far is to buy it by the gallon. In fact, right now, I don't know when anybody's ever going to see this, but Prolong has a special right now. Free shipping, and buy 1 gallon, get 1 gallon free. So you get 2 gallons for 88 bucks delivered. It's a sweet deal. Alright, so it's been running for about a half an hour. I just set the timing. The thing runs perfect. Obviously it's a Geo, so it's got a little shake to it. I think my new terminology is going to be when people ask about how they shake. It's just like when you hop on your Hog or your Harley and it sits there and has a shake. Well, Geo's about half that. And sometimes they're a little less, but honestly, I always find that that's because the motor's a little weak. Yeah, listen how quiet it is though. You can hear one little tick click thing. I'm not sure how well that comes out, but that's actually the solenoid for the EGR system. But the motor itself has no noise in it at all. Absolutely zero. In fact, you can hear the pulse that will absolutely fire in now. But that motor makes no noise. If I get the water pump belt off of it, you hear the little tiny whisper go away. God, I love it when they're perfect. You got a little stick bouncing around right there. That's the... Sometimes I find the camera doesn't show the motor moving around on the 3 cylinders. The people are a little disillusioned. Yeah, this is beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And for those of you that are just watching this through, that started out as an engine overhaul, I'm actually doing a drivetrain restoration to it. So there'll be some more video after this too. And the radiator fans work perfect. Thermostat came on at exactly when the fan turned on, which is perfect. And the temperature gauge is perfect inside. Oh, I just love it when everything is exactly right. And I can't remember if this car has auto door locks on it. But those of you that have that option know how easy it is to get locked out. And I've already been locked out of this car once. It wasn't from auto door lock. Alright. Oh, this is a long day. I started early this morning on this to get it done tonight. See, it's dark out. Oh, excuse me. Alright, the car's that's probably ran for half an hour with the new motor. Probably got about a mile on it now. 111,311 is the new, the born on day. Sort of all over the road with the camera. One's perfect. It's got good power. Accelerates nicely. You can see before it, it's a big dot. Barrier fit. It goes fast if you want, but I don't want to take it. I know before it smoked like a train, but no more smoke. She's a nice driver. Really nice driver. Alrighty, well, let's go put some brakes on it. Alright, as I'm popping these front brakes apart, you can see how the front pad is wore out, and then you can see how the pad is dragging. Just the rotors have been virtually red hot. Well, they're hot right now, and I barely even was using them. They shouldn't have any heat on them. But we'll get that all fixed up. It's just because something's lubricated. It's just all old. Alright, you can see I've done one pass on this, and the rotors are a little warped on both sides. Not a big deal. These are going to clean up really nice. I always take the very minimum off to make them perfect, and then I do a final satin cut on them with some different tips. Yeah, you can see with this one off, they're just dragging from. In fact, these rotors actually look like they were changing at some time because they're not as ugly looking as original ones would be as far as rust or whatnot. In fact, it's not rusted in here, and it's rusted out here just because it got hot. The metal hot and it rusts a lot easier. Alright, so 2 small cuts brings it back. I'm going to do one more cut to finish it off, what I call my satin cut. And those rotors are like brand new again. Love that. So this rotor has just a smidge more warpage. I'm only telling you like in thousandths of an inch. But this is the same 2 cuts that the last rotor had that made it perfect. And this one just has a little smidge that needs to be done. Not a big deal at all. Just perfectly trued up. And I think these rotors were replaced at some time and somebody forgot to redo the calipers like I just did. With sticky calipers, you're just going to overheat the rotors. It doesn't matter. Something to point out when you're doing your own brake job is all of the bolts and stuff. It's hard to tell because I'm pretty neat about it, but there's anti-seize everywhere. You know, you want to get all the plates have been anti-seized. The pads or everything that touches something has some anti-seize in it. The rubber boots have been pulled off. The pins have been removed. It's been buffed off, lubricated, and put back together. And when you get done, let me see, without moving my hand, you can see how that moves back and forth like that pretty easily. That caliper's perfect. Those brake pads are going to last a long time. So when you let off, Alright, I got the balancing beads in the tires now. You can hear those when you spin it. And you can't hear them when you're going down the road because they get pinned into position. But to know if they're in a tire, you gotta put it in the air and spin the tire. And then, yeah. Alright, if you're changing the rear wheel bearings in your car, grab your driver. And pop them out. Oh, you need to keep your retainer piece. And I just throw all the wheel bearings away. I don't keep any wheel bearings on the car or repack or anything. They're cheap enough and they last long enough to justify just tossing them each time. And they're usually bad anyhow. I gotta go throw these on the brake light now and cut them. Alright, so I found 2 bad wheel bearings on one in each drum. But something to note, somebody knew that they were bad because sealed bearings don't have grease in them, so somebody tried to shove grease in an old bad bearing. This one's been turned now, this rotor's. I'm going to put this one back. Alright, you can see I got new shoes on here. The wheel cylinders have been gone through. New drum and wheel bearings are ready to go. I'm going to start stuffing these things together. Now this needs to be... I've already put the balancing beads in the tires. There, I'm trying to get a little more organized. I'll just take the hardware kit. Let's try that one more time. Okay, this is how quiet the wheel bearings are. Oh, they had a little buzz before. That's what makes a Geo worth owning, something that's quiet to drive. Alrighty, just pressure wash the engine compartment out. Looks nice and clean again. Car runs superb. I love these cars that have the head done on them. Because when you do a stock one, when you first fire them up till everything seats in, as a rule of thumb you have 160 psi of compression. And then as the springs seat in over a few thousand miles, everything gets happier. And then on these motors, like this one where the head's been done, you get 180 pounds right off the get-go. Kind of exacerbates the shake in the car, kind of. Couldn't tell by looking at it here, but as they have more bang in them, more power, you get a little different, or a little more powerful shake out of the 3-cylinders. Very nice though. Runs just sweet. If you're into Geos, of course. Alright, well, we're just about finished. Okay, I'm just getting ready to start pulling the door panels off so I can get the window regulators gone through. And all the door locks all lubed up. This particular car has the speaker covers have been, I'm sure that's a hot glue gun back on there. I've got the cover here. I'm going to put it on with a little better silicone or something. I think the hot glue is a little brittle for people's feet to touch it coming in and out. So we'll get that fixed. And then obviously the speakers in the front of the car are bad. Or at least that one is. So not a huge deal. In fact, I like to go to the Sony outlet stores and buy speakers because sometimes they're just about free. And the other thing is that Walmart brand that's red, the speaker is red. I think the speakers are like $5 a piece. And somebody told me they're made by Sony. I put some in my Geo, and I like classical music, and it sounds really, really good for being super inexpensive. Okay, so I'm going to get this popped apart, and I'll give you some updates as I... Okay, so now I've got the panels ripped off this thing, And what I've done is I've removed the bad speaker for the gentleman that owns the car. Obviously it doesn't work, and that'll let him match them up so he can go buy a set to replace them if he wants. And you can literally take the panels on and off in just a few minutes. Nothing worse than going to buy speakers for cars and you don't know what size the hole is inside the car. So I think that'll be an advantage. Okay, so now what I've done is I've lubed the tracks up now, all the guides, and you can see the lubricant in there. And I'm pretty liberal with the lubricant, and I mix my own up. It's automatic transmission fluid with some extreme pressure, some EP gear oil, and just a smidge of motor oil to thin it out so it sprays nice out of my Windex style sprayer. And then I just dump it in a quart of oil container. And so the red is the transmission fluid portion of it. I have been using this mixture for a few years, and to be honest with you, I really like gear oil, and anti-seize works pretty gosh darn good. But I like it when I spray this in there, and there's a bunch in there, because what I like to do is soak the bottom of the door panel seam with oil, and in fact, well, you'll start seeing it drip out on the ground. By the time somebody gets one of the cars, it's usually gone. But then the inside of the door down there gets soaked with oil, so there's a double bonus here by doing the window regulators. I want to stop the bottom of the door from rusting out. Alright, I just installed a new set of Bosch wiper blades on it, and then Metro's, all cars, the wiper blade arms rust, so I like to take them off and just spray paint them black again so they just so they're not rusty up there. And then always remember it's a 18-inch on the outside and a 20-inch on the inside, because if you're a tall guy, it'll go right through where your eyes are, because a Metro will seat somebody that's over. Looks real good. Drives, stops really nice. It's hard to drive with the stick with one hand in the camera. It's got good power. It'll be a horrible video handing the camera back and forth to myself. It's a real nice driver. Alright, I'm going to get this posted up, and we're going to get this back in your hands so you can start saving some money on some gas.